On today's episode, I'm going to make this display case for my medals from my time in the army. It's quite simple, but it has a little feature where I can take the medals out, wear them every year, put them back and put it back on the wall. Stick around today and watch how I made it. Hi, I'm Sean. Welcome to the shed. Follow me down the drive. So with every project we're going to start by ripping down some of the timber we're going to use. For this project I'm utilising some old door frames from a recent renovation at work. Luckily they're made out of oak. So I need to run a small channel down the front of each of the frame pieces. Luckily the kerf of my blade is the same width as the acrylic sheet I'm going to be using for the picture frame. So this is the channel where the backing board will go, so it's going to run down here. It's going to be a similar channel. I'm going to take a groove out. So the backing board for the medal sits in and it'll be pinned, held into place with some twist locks, and then it gives approximately this much room for the medals to sit behind the glass, because the medals protrude about 2.5 centimeters or so. The last time I cut rebates in this way, I had the wood on the wrong side of the saw blade, and every time I finished the rebate off, a spear of oak would come flying out the back of the table saw. For my 20+ year old electric Beckman table saw, I managed to find a compound mitre extension that fits into the slot that is on the table. One of the things I identified as an issue when trying to set the angle of the table, the motor weighs an absolute ton when trying to tilt it, and secondly, because the tabletop is grooved, setting a digital level finder is quite problematic. For any future picture framing or mitre cuts that I'm going to do on the table saw, I'm going to come up with a jig, because I wasn't too happy with this when I used it. As you'll see in a minute, I nearly took my camera out and cost myself a good few £100 worth of damage. Using my new Clark woodworker belt and disc sander, I just tidied up the 45-degree mitres, and before I assembled the frame, I thought I'd sand the inside edges and the inside faces of the frame, so I'm not going to get a chance after this. So when gluing up miters, I like to apply a little bit of glue onto the end grain. Leave it for a little while to let this soak in. And then when I apply the glue which will adhere the mitre corners, it's going to have something to bite against in the glue that's already there, which is already soaked into the end grain. So I needed to cut out the actual acrylic that was going to fit in the front of the frame, so I used the trusty Axminster bandsaw to cut out a piece to fit into the slot. So I'm going to call it a day. I've been in here since 9 o'clock this morning. It's coming up for 9 o'clock at night at the moment. There's fireworks going off outside because we've got impending bonfire night coming up. I know I'm tired because I managed to snag my jumper on the sander, on the disc itself, on the end of the sander earlier. I don't normally wear sleeves in the shed for that particular reason. Less chance of anything snagging. So it's cold, I'm a little bit tired, so I'm going to, for safety reasons, I'm going to call it a day. And take this in the house, give it a little chance to dry off and cure in the warmth as opposed to the cold of the garage. I'll see you in the morning when we get on with the back piece for it. See you soon. To mount the medals on inside the frame, I was going to place a piece of hardboard with some poster board and a couple of pieces, or multiple pieces of mount board of the relevant colours for my cap badge in there. These are just some test pieces, these aren't the actual colours themselves. But to make them butt up, because it's a three-stripe, horizontal stripe motif, or colour scheme, I bought myself a 45-degree mount board cutter. I've been having some fun with it this afternoon, just testing it on various pieces, and I've been struggling to get a clean cut for the 45 degrees. So I'm going back to the drawing board on this one. I'll save this for another project. I have some more coming up where I might be able to utilise it. Plus I've got 4 A1 sheets of mount board and a large piece of poster board to use. So there's no point having it around if I'm not going to use it. After a phone call with my mum this morning, thank you mum, mum's always know best, I've always been told, she said, "Are you using felt?" I said, "No mum, I'm using mount board. What would I use felt for?" So whilst at the craft store this afternoon, I bought a few pieces of felt, and I'm going to use the felt to make the actual cover for where the medals are going to mount in the back of the frame. So I'm going to utilise the poster board still and the hardboard, but I'm going to put the colouring in will be with felt. It's going to have a nice texture to it, and it's going to look really good because the colours are very vibrant. So I'm going to get on with that now. I'm going to cut. After attempting a couple of different methods of cutting the felt, knife, scissors, I couldn't get a straight enough cut. So I went down to the local DIY store and got a roller knife, which is used for wallpapering in this instance, and decided to give it a go, and I got a very nice clean straight cut down the felt. Using some multi-purpose spray adhesive, I coated both the poster board and the felt, left them to dry for a few minutes, and then placed them together, getting an instant contact connection. I repeated the process with the blue felt, ensuring when it was stuck to the board it was centered across the horizontal axis of the actual board. I'm not overly confident with my mitre joint, so I decided to strengthen them up with some splines. Look, I've still got my spline jig from the last time I made a picture frame, so it was a fairly simple process to go through. I'll link to the jig down below. Splines I use with just a contrasting colour to the oak frame. Unlike on previous occasions, I used the belt sander to actually sand the splines down. I found this a lot easier than cutting them off. That's how I made this. Every year I normally have to go and root through my underwear drawer to find this little pouch which I keep my medals in, ready for Remembrance Weekend, to go and pay my respects like I do every year. This year I decided I'm fed up with rooting around my underwear and they need to go on display somewhere in my office. So I've made this display case, as you've seen. When it comes off, it's easily detachable. The little clips on the back open up and it pops out, and I have access to my medals. So when I'm done and I need to put them away, just hang them back up on the wall till next time they need them. It reminds me of everything I've done in the past. So if you'd like to leave a comment down below, tell me what you think I could have done better, or things you think where I've gone wrong. Personally, I know where I've gone wrong with this, and as I've got one of these to make for a friend, I'll be making a hell of a lot of difference when I make this. You know, my mitres have a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done. It's more due to the tool that I used. And the felt, when you wrap the felt around the side, the felt makes the backing board that little bit more snug in the actual back of the frame. So drop me a note down below. In the top corner I'm going to have a subscribe button for the channel, and down the bottom corner there's going to be a playlist of my previous videos. I've got more things coming up. I've got a little project coming up for my local barbershop in the next week or so, so you stick around and see that one. Thanks for coming and watching Shaun in the Shed. See you next time. It's a snug fit, I'll tell you that.